This training will provide a brief overview of the LOCD and some basic information for disciplines who are completing it. All PACE participants must meet nursing level home criteria to be part of the program. The LOCD is the MDHHS tool to determine eligibility for the program. The LOCD looks at 7 areas in the person's daily living. These are referred to as the doors. There are 7 doors, but 90% of PACE participants fit through door 1 and door 2. This is the top of the first page of the LOCD form. Fields 1 through 7 need to be completed on the LOCD form. Fields 1 through 3 are pertaining to the applicant. Field 4 is 17 for PACE. Field 5 is our NPI number. Field 6 is the discipline completing the LOCD. And Field 7 is the community PACE phone number. These are all the licensed professionals that can complete an LOCD. Information must be gathered by conducting a face-to-face assessment, observing their living activities, interviewing people who know them well, and reviewing their medical records. For door 1, you're going to be assessing their activities of daily living, including bed mobility, eating, toileting, and transferring. For the 4 subcategories under door 1, there are 5 options for each activities of daily living, depending on how independent or dependent the applicant is. For an applicant to be eligible for PACE services under door 1, they must score at least 6 points. This could be a combination of 2 limited assist, 1 limited assist under eating, and 4 total dependents under A, B, or C, any combination that equals 6 points. All right, we're going to break it down a little more. Stay with me. I know this isn't super fun stuff, but it's good information. Selecting the independent box means that the applicant did not need or have any help in the last 7 days. It also means that you found them independent after having a face-to-face assessment, speaking with their family, and reviewing their medical records. LOCD fields leave room for variation. When selecting the supervision box, it means that the applicant required oversight, encouragement, or cueing 3 or more times during the last 7 days, or supervision 3 or more times, plus physical assistance provided 1 to 2 times during the last 7 days. Take a mental note. Supervision solely does not equal eligibility. When we refer back to our point system, technically an applicant has to have at least 1 limited assist to qualify under door 1. I know, it makes your head spin, but trust me, after you do it a couple times, it'll make a lot more sense. All right, limited assist. This is the category that often needs the most explanation and comes with the most questions. Limited assist is if the person was highly involved in the activity, like they were trying to get out of bed or trying to get off the toilet, but they received physical help and guided maneuvering limbs or other non-weight-bearing assistance 3 or more times, or help was provided 1 to 2 times during the last 7 days. Remember, limited assist is under all activities of daily living in door 1. Bed mobility, eating, toileting, and transferring. As much as we would like to debate it, unfortunately, grab bars and countertops are not qualifying under non-weight-bearing assistance and limited assist. Guided maneuvering and non-weight-bearing really just means that the caregiver didn't flex his or her muscles when helping the resident. They only lightly touched them or guided them with a hand or a shoulder. Extensive assist is a little more self-explanatory. It means that the applicant performed part of the activity in the last 7-day period, but there was weight-bearing support or full performance by another individual during the part, but it doesn't necessarily have to be all 7 days. Total dependence means that the applicant required full performance of activity by another individual during the entire 7-day period. It's rare that the activity did not occur, but it does happen sometimes. Here's a couple examples of the activity did not occur. Feel free to pause it. I'm only going to go through the first one. Miss P has been alone in the community and hasn't had any support. Therefore, she wasn't able to physically turn, sit, or lay up in bed on her own. She now presents with stage 3 pressure sores. So the activity of daily living of bed mobility did not occur, but don't worry, she'll qualify under another door for her stage 3 pressure sores. Although any of these licensed professionals can complete an LOCD, it is preferred that OT and PT qualify people under door 1. The most important part is that whoever completes the LOCD has documentation to back up their scoring. You may be thinking, oh, what kind of documentation? Don't worry, I won't leave you hanging. For PACE, this would consist of your initial assessment, your reassessment, or your IHC assessment. In the comment boxes in the IHC assessment should be specific, detailed information regarding your assessment. It's extremely important to document inconsistencies in your assessment, especially when that person doesn't qualify, because sometimes those inconsistencies can make them qualify through another door. Here's a few examples of really important information that should be included in a comment section on your IHC. If the participant had severe dementia and primary information was obtained from caretaker and medical record review. If they report independence, but their family interview and medical records indicate their limited assist in bed mobility and transferring. Another example is if they have home care services 2 times a week for showering and they're not expected to regain independence in that activity of daily living. And also if the PT did transfer independently, but it took 20 minutes to complete. Door 2 is a little less confusing than door 1. And it is based on cognitive performance. And really what it's looking at is trying to identify applicants with cognitive difficulties, especially in short-term memory and daily decision making, which are both essential skills for residing safely in the community. Door 2 covers 3 areas in the LOCD form: short-term memory, decision-making skills, and also how the participant makes himself understood. The LOCD guidelines for door 2 do give some examples of how to gauge somebody's short-term memory. They recommend asking them what their current season is. Do they remember where their bedroom is? Do they remember their family and friends, names, faces, recent events? But this can also be indicated in the MOCA that will be conducted every 6 months on the participant. Gauging daily decision making can get a little tricky. But the intent of the section is to record the applicant's actual performance in making everyday decisions. So when a family member takes decision-making responsibility away from the applicant regarding tasks of everyday living, or if the applicant just does not participate in decision-making, whatever his or her level capability, the applicant should be considered to have impaired performance in decision-making. The guidelines give some recommendations for evaluating decision making. They recommend looking at if the applicant's clothing is appropriate for the weather. Do they know when to go to meals? Do they use their space in their home appropriately? Do they use environmental cues to organize their day, like clocks, calendars? Do they seek information appropriately or repetitively? When we refer back to our point system for qualifying under door 2, it states the applicant must score under one of the following. So they must be severely impaired in decision making, or have a combination of yes for memory problem and decision making is moderately impaired to severely impaired, or have a combination of yes, memory problem, and making self-understood is sometimes or rarely never. Okay. So again, all of these licensed professionals can qualify any applicant under any door, but it's recommended that a social worker assess applicants for door 2 and determine their eligibility. All right, knowledge is power, but too much knowledge at once is exhausting. So I'm going to fly through the last couple doors, and if a participant doesn't meet for one or two, we'll be working as a team together anyway. Door 3 is based on physician involvement and really isn't a good door for PACE because they don't qualify for very long under the door. Door 4 is if an applicant has any of these treatment and conditions, but that alone does not qualify them for it. These treatments and conditions have to affect their daily functioning. For door 5, the applicant must have 45 minutes in the last 7 days of PT, OT, or speech therapy. Again, not a great door for PACE because they probably won't need this forever. Door 6 is based on hallucinations, delusions, and behaviors. Not very many people come in under this door due to the fact that they have to be safe and independent in their community to qualify for PACE. Also, take note, the LOCD does not refer to resisted care as not following a treatment plan. It refers to it as like trying to scratch someone's eyes out if they're trying to give you meds. Door 7 and Door 8 are a whole nother PowerPoint all on their own. But Door 7 is an all or nothing door. It has some specific criteria, and it really just states that without PACE services, this participant could not continue to be safe and independent in the community. I like to think of what they refer to as Door 8, the frailty door, as like a last resort. You assess this applicant and you know they would benefit so much from PACE services, but they just don't fit through any of the doors. That's when we start looking at Door 8. When a participant is eligible through assessment according to the LOCD, that information is entered into CHAMPS Online, and this freedom of choice is generated with the fields filled in and printed. The discipline and the participant will have to sign 2 of these. An LOCD is good for 365 days unless that participant has a change in condition. Your LOCD needs to be entered online within 14 days of the day you conducted it. If an applicant is deemed not eligible for PACE services through being assessed with the LOCD tool, it is referred to as a 0 LOCD, and it still needs to be uploaded to CHAMPS with supporting evidence of why that person does not qualify. Thanks for hanging in there. I hope you learned something.